Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. First, a huge thank you to Nikki DeMania for covering for me for the last couple of weeks while I was out taking care of some personal stuff with family and taking a little time to catch my breath. But Nikki did a great job of filling in for me. Couple of quick house cleaning items before we get started. First thing, and this is kind of becoming old hat for everybody, but we like to reiterate it. First thing is make sure you stay on mute, please, and to also keep your video off unless you are one of our presenters. It just helps keep the flow and keeps the other distracting, subtle sounds out of our seminar. The other thing is keep an eye on the chat window. You're welcome to ask questions in the chat window. And there are people in the chat that will be responding to those questions. At the end of the session also, we'll open it up for questions. And if you have specific questions, maybe for one of our presenters, then that's a great opportunity to pose your question. And then we'll relay those questions or ask those questions so that we can get them answered from our panel. So with that, I'm going to hand over the baton to our president, Sonya Christian.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I was looking at the faces of our panelists and just really excited that we have these heavy hitters with us today at the home of the Renegades, the virtual home of the Renegades, amazing Rudy Salas, Nan Gomez-Heitzberg, and David Bynum. I hope you all had a great Easter. I know I tuned into Facebook Live to watch the Mass from St. Francis. What a world we do live in. So I'm going to start with my usual data on the COVID epidemic. You can see the numbers look pretty bleak. The United States is now leading in the cases, the number of deaths related to COVID-19. And here in Kern County, we have 3. Moving on to the next slide. What really strikes me every time I look at this slide is the percentage of young individuals impacted by this virus. So you can see approximately 56% are what I call young, between 18 and 49. Moving to the next slide, Leslie typically puts together the 7-day trajectory and growth. And you will see here, even though the numbers on the percentages look pretty bleak, they're actually getting better. So compared to the last presentation that I did, when you had percentage growth of over 100%, things are actually looking better in the last 7 days. Moving to the next slide. What I have here is the breakdown by county. And Dylan put this together. It's from a New York Times article that came out today. You will see that Kern County is rated number 12 among 53 in the total number of coronavirus cases. And looking at the next slide, what Dylan did here is to look at the number per 100,000. And you will see Kern is still ranked pretty high. And it's number 13 in terms of counties. Moving to the next slide, this is something that just Rudy texted me a few hours ago, and I asked to include it because it was for the first time I was seeing it disaggregated by race and ethnicity as well. But more importantly, what I wanted to signal to you, my fellow renegades, it's a level of engagement that our assembly member has with Bakersfield College. He is in constant communication with me on things that are happening in Sacramento when there are opportunities for BC, including bringing in about $2 million in the last 2 years for our rural students in Delano and in Wasco and other parts of our rural renegade family. Rudy is very much in tune with Bakersfield College. He's not only in tune with Bakersfield College, but he's also texting buddies with none other than our governor, Gavin Newsom. So when I have an issue, I text Rudy, Rudy texts our governor. So we are really, really fortunate. Moving to the next slide. At every presentation, I bring the face of Susie Garcia, who is one of the individuals, not the first individual who passed away because of COVID-19. And Susie, her son, Hector Garcia, graduated from Bakersfield College in 2016. So this is very close to home, and we will continue to keep her face in our midst as we continue our work related to this epidemic. Moving to the next slide. The IHME dashboard is something we follow very closely with. On the next slide, Dylan tracks the numbers within our country that peaked on April 10th, which is what the model predicted. And then moving to California, what we have here for you is the number of deaths per day is supposed to peak on April 15th. Although when the governor has been presenting, he said we're going to be vigilant until about mid-May. So he's saying, continue with the social distancing, which we're doing a remarkable job at Bakersfield College, and we need to stay at home. Moving to the next slide, this shows again the total number of deaths by August 16th for California, where you can see we're really bending the curve, because a few weeks ago, when I showed you this slide, you will recall it was over 5,000 was the prediction by August 4th. But by our vigilance and the social distancing, we have been able to flatten the curve. Moving to the next slide, my continuing message: stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. And when you're staying at home, try to be healthy, do be healthy, what you eat, your exercise, and your mental health. And the last piece that came out, and we were again ahead of the curve at Bakersfield College, signaling our community to really do a face cover. We're calling it a face cover so that we're not competing with the N95s that are needed for our medical community. But if you do have to go out to the pharmacy, do cover your face, because that provides some level of protection. Moving to the next slide about Bakersfield College, I have my standard set that shows us since January. We've been tracking this virus since January 30th, when it was a mere 10,000 cases worldwide. We at BC were tracking this novel coronavirus because that's what we do at Bakersfield College. We play to where the puck is going to be rather than where the puck is. And you can see every step of the way we've been ahead of the curve. Moving to the next slide, we continue with our dates that major things have happened. And now your executive team is planning for when we will start partially reopening our campus in the summer. And please note the words, it's going to be a partial reopening, because we don't want to pack our campus with a lot of people. We want to only start with courses that are very difficult to teach online when we open back in the summer. Moving to the next slide. I wanted to talk about our unemployment rates. They're really significant, but I'm very pleased that BC, we had announced our Back to College program, which is on the next slide, where not only do we have an opportunity for individuals who've been laid off to get engaged and get their minds engaged with coursework and schoolwork, but we also have financial aid that they can tap into to get that check. So these are our set of classes. And moving to the next slide, I'm happy to announce that we're partnering with KGET. And we have our California history course with Oliver Rosales, that we will be doing this partnership where individuals, if you have information about Bakersfield and Kern County, photos from your archives, we're creating a digital repository for this. So thank you, Oliver Rosales. Thank you, KGET. Moving to the next slide, I want to thank two of our alums from Bakersfield College, Greg and Mary Bynum, extremely generous. They were tracking this huge issue that our students were dealing with as BC went online with the remaining 80% of our courses. Greg and Mary were extremely generous and supported our students. And in fact, we have their son, David Bynum, who is going to be speaking to us today. Wanted to recognize, and I was noticing on social media, it was going off the charts with our students thanking Greg and Mary. Moving to the next slide. This is your executive team, fellow renegades. We are planning for our summer and fall to have more opportunities, more flexibility, and more support for you. You'll be seeing several short back-to-college programs that are being planned by our instructional side, and we'll be unveiling those every time we get those programs put together. And I think with that, I'd like to invite our amazing Assembly member, Rudy Solis, to start our panel presentation.